Welcome to the CAD Builder video tutorial series. In this video, we will continue exploring construction method options by going into the various cabinet side types within CAD Builder, each with their own settings and behaviors. Their default options are set within the construction methods, so let's check how to set these up and how they affect cabinet builds. First, we must become familiar with the different types. The first and most common is the unfinished side. This is a single side panel intended to be a blind end, usually against an adjacent cabinet or wall. They are typically seen only from the inside of the cabinet. The finished side is also a single side panel, but intended for when the side can be seen from both faces. This generally requires them to be made of different materials or exhibit different joints. Changing a side type to side panel turns the side into two parts, the subside blind end and the thin piece applied on top, called the applied side panel, intended for veneer applications. Side applied doors do the same, but instead of a thin veneer, it's a false door construction. False door side also contains a false door, but without the subside panel substrate, meaning the door actually takes on the role of the cabinet side. Subside is just the subside without anything on top, effectively just a blind end side unfinished. We will cover each of these in the context of the construction methods, but you do not need to touch the side types that you are not using. For instance, if you do sometimes apply a false door on the side of the cabinet, but not a thin veneer panel, then you can skip over the side panel settings. We will go over framed cabinet sides first, then frameless. The most common type, unfinished side, starts with the default side thickness. This sets the expected nominal thickness in the same way we saw in the drawer box construction method. Unfinished side offset allows for unfinished sides to maintain a distance to the outer edge or inner edge of the stile. This can be manually changed for a specific side with the side offset attribute. Side toe kick notch is active only when the toe kick is integrated and dictates whether the side gets a notch or if it stays as a full panel. This can also be overridden for a side in a specific situation by going under the toe kick parts attributes and switching a side to separate toe, notched end, full end, or none. Grain direction can be set to either vertical or horizontal if the material is grained. If the side is made out of single-sided material, finished face orientation sets where the finished face is located, either inside or outside. Finally, banding dictates where edge banding will be applied and what type to use. Check the ballot box next to the edges to be banded and indicate the type to be either interior or exterior. Finished sides have much the same parameters with the same effects: default side thickness, side offset, toe kick notch, grain direction, finished face orientation, and banding. This allows for a finished side that is made perhaps of different materials and different cut to present to the outside of the cabinet. Side panel begins with default thickness as well. Then we have the side panel placement parameter. If set to inside, the applied panel is included in the width measurement of the cabinet. If outside, then it is excluded. In other words, when you type in the measurement of the cabinet and you prefer to include the width of the panel in the overall cabinet width, then select inside. If you prefer to type in just the width of the cabinet box, then set this to outside. Subside offset locates the side panel either by setting a gap between it and the subside panel, or by locating the subside some distance away from the inside of the frame stile, with the applied panel applied on top. Position with cabinet front dictates how far the applied panel stretches forward, either to the door, to the frame front, or to the subside. Typing in a positive value extends the part by that amount, and a negative one takes away. The same applies when extending the cabinet to the top, either subside or frame top, to the bottom subside, frame bottom, or floor, and to the cabinet back, either to subside or case back. For example, we will set it to extend to frame front, to frame top, to floor, and to case back with an additional 1/4 inch. This means the side panel covers the entire cabinet side with an additional 1/4 inch scribe to the back. Note that the back scribe can also be manually adjusted within the side attributes. Set whether the side panel should be notched for the toe kick or kept to full, whether the grain is vertical or horizontal, and if it needs to be edge banded on any of the faces. Applied door follows in many of the same steps. Default thickness and outside-inside placement work in the same way. Likewise, subside offset can locate the door by either keeping some gap between it and the subside, or by offsetting the subside from the inside of the frame edge and then applying the false door on top. Position relative to each edge also does the same. Select where the door extends to and a value for positive or negative adjustment. The subside panel section deals with the blind end covered by either applied side panels or false applied door. Set the expected nominal thickness, then set the subside offset gap, whether it is a full or notched panel, the finished face orientation, and banded edges. Now we will check the frameless cabinet side of things. The settings are much the same, except there are much fewer options to deal with since there is no face frame. And since the front edges of the sides can be seen directly, most sides will be set to edge band on the front edge. The finished and unfinished sides both have the default side thicknesses, side toe kick notch, grain direction, finished face orientation, and banding that work the same way as their framed equivalents. No face frame means no side offset parameter. Side panel and applied door work in the same way too. Set their expected nominal thicknesses, whether they are inside or outside the width dimensions, subside offset, and position relative to all 4 edges. Side panel has 3 more parameters stating whether they are notched or full, grain direction where applicable, and banding if required. Subside panel does the same as its frame counterpart as well. Set the nominal thickness, subside gap, toe kick notch, finished face orientation, and banding. You can now see how the construction method can help to set the default options for cabinet side behaviors. Many of these are also editable within the wireframe editor in order to adapt to different cabinet applications. Thank you for watching. To view additional video tutorials, please visit www.cabbuildersoftware.com/training.